board, but not announcing who they are just yet, instead promising to name them later this month. Henyard is under investigation by the FBI.
Now she's teasing a big announcement that she claims will result in some of her opponents being arrested.
Some believe it's a strategic move to raise campaign funds, but the $50 admission fee for Tiffany Henyard's re-election event has sparked more backlash than support. While defenders call it necessary, critics argue there has always been little to no real explanation for why such a costly event is being held at all. With mounting concerns over financial transparency, it's hard not to see this as a calculated political maneuver, perhaps a way to cover fiscal shortfalls or silence growing controversy. Since taking office in 2021, Henyard's administration has faced consistent criticism. Accusations of financial mismanagement, voter suppression, and controversial hiring decisions have fractured public trust. Now, in a town already split by her leadership, the high-priced fundraiser only adds fuel to the fire. Detractors see the $50 fee not as a campaign necessity, but as a last-ditch attempt to plug financial holes amid ongoing embezzlement allegations. Instead of addressing Dalton's real problems, this event looks more like a diversion tactic, a distraction from deeper concerns over how public funds are being handled. Many Dalton residents are questioning how their money is being used. To them, this fee is just another sign that Henyard is more focused on securing her own position than solving the town's issues. Her opponents argue this isn't about community engagement, it's about consolidating power. And while her base insists the event proves her ability to generate support, the deeper question remains: is this a show of strength or a symptom of exclusivity? Supporters say her resilience is commendable. They point to her persistence despite ongoing criticism as evidence of her determination to keep pushing forward. For them, donating to her campaign is a show of loyalty, a belief in her vision. But to critics, paying that kind of money to attend an event for a leader mired in scandal comes off as arrogant and tone-deaf, especially in a community struggling. With economic challenges and rising crime, Henyard's image has shifted from hopeful leader to divisive figure. Many now see her as someone chasing personal ambition at the expense of the public good. Accusations of financial misconduct and questionable leadership decisions have painted a troubling picture, and the re-election event feels less like a celebration and more like a symptom of a broken administration. Still, Henyard presses forward. Her bold public appearances suggest she's not backing down. Her commitment to her cause is clear. But in Dalton's fractured political landscape, where economic status now seems tied to political access, the gap between her supporters and critics continues to grow. What could have been a unifying community gathering has instead become a symbol of division, a sign that the town is split by class, influence, and ideology. Critics argue this isn't unique to Dalton. It reflects a bigger trend in modern politics, one where expensive fundraisers and flashy events matter more than addressing real issues. One where leaders cater to those who can pay, while ignoring those who can't. Henyard's campaign, they say, is propped up by a loyal, financially able few, while the broader community, plagued by financial concerns and lingering doubts, is left unheard. Her decision to continue pushing for re-election, despite the deepening controversy, speaks volumes. For some, it shows resolve. For others, it's denial. Denial of her administration's flaws and refusal to own up to the consequences. The UDE re-election push feels less about change and more about holding on to power, less about progress and more about preserving the status quo. And in a town like Dalton, where trust in leadership has eroded, where financial accountability is in question, and where the political climate is deeply unstable, the stakes have never been higher. This election won't just decide Henyard's future. It could mark a pivotal moment in Dalton's political history, a chance for voters to finally demand answers. As her campaign gains momentum, the divide within the community only grows. Some still see Henyard as a survivor, someone who's weathered the storm and deserves another shot. But others see her as the storm itself, a force that's disrupted stability and pushed the town further into chaos. The expensive fundraiser may have been designed to show power, but for many, it just confirms what they've feared all along, that this administration is more concerned with optics and fundraising than actual leadership. In a town already on edge, this could either solidify her base or alienate even more residents. $50. For a seat at a table built on controversy. For a celebration of an administration that many believe has prioritized self-interest over service. That price tag is no longer just about an event. It's about what kind of leadership Dalton is willing to tolerate. As the election draws near, residents will have to choose. Do they want a mayor who values loyalty and dollars over transparency and action? Or are they ready for something new, something grounded in accountability and integrity? Because in small towns like Dalton, where resources are scarce and trust is everything, elections don't just shape policy, they define the soul of the community. And the outcome of this campaign could shape Dalton's direction for years to come.
Dalton trustees and Mayor Tiffany Henyard held a public meeting.
Since stepping into office in 2021, Tiffany Henyard's time as mayor has been nothing short of a storm of controversy. Allegations of financial mismanagement and corruption have cast a long shadow over her leadership in Dalton, a small town of just 20,000 south of Chicago. The drama surrounding her administration could rival any prime-time political thriller. Critics, including former allies, have accused Henyard of embezzling public funds, making lavish and unnecessary purchases, and using city resources for personal luxuries. Some even claim she's used the Dalton Police Department to intimidate her political opponents. Already dealing with serious economic challenges, the town now faces growing concerns about whether its leaders truly have the people's interests at heart. For many residents, it's not just about money, it's about trust. Henyard is being painted as a leader who's more focused on her personal lifestyle than the needs of the town. Her lack of transparency and questionable financial decisions have fueled speculation that she's exploiting her position rather than serving the public. Disillusionment is spreading. As frustration mounts, even some of Henyard's former supporters have begun to question her motives. Her re-election campaign, which should be about hope and renewal, now feels like a battleground for accountability. While Henyard appears unfazed, throwing a campaign launch party as if to project confidence, many see it as a tone-deaf move, further proving how out of touch she may be with the everyday struggles of Dalton residents. Instead of restoring confidence, this party added fuel to the fire. The town is now gripped by skepticism. Is Henyard really fighting for the people, or just clinging to power through performance and publicity? Her administration, once seen as a symbol of progress, is now mired in scandal and public outcry. Some admire her resilience, calling her bold and unshakable. But to her critics, that same boldness looks more like denial, a refusal to take responsibility. Her decision to seek another term has only deepened divisions in the community, transforming political debate into an all-out battle for the town's soul. Dalton, once just a quiet suburb, has now become a focal point for a larger conversation. What happens when leadership goes unchecked? And what is the true cost of putting ambition above accountability? Despite calls for her resignation, Henyard is doubling down. Her refusal to address serious allegations while launching a re-election campaign has many questioning her priorities. She's positioned herself as a fighter, but some say she's fighting for herself, not for Dalton. Earlier this year, a city meeting had to be canceled over a dispute about where it would be held, an emblem of the dysfunction growing inside her administration. And while federal investigations continue to loom, Henyard made headlines with a new proposal, cutting the salary of her potential successor if she loses. Critics called it a last-ditch move to maintain control of the town's finances. That same month, federal subpoenas were issued over an investigation involving alleged financial misconduct, accusations that Henyard used public money for personal luxury. Reports claim she spent thousands on Amazon orders, upscale hotel stays, and high-end restaurants. Even Thoron Township, where she also serves as supervisor, was dragged into the controversy. If the accusations are true, they suggest a trail of extravagant spending during a time when Dalton is facing financial ruin. The mayor's spending habits, once private, are now being dissected publicly, and the numbers aren't helping her case. Despite these explosive allegations, Henyard has said very little. A Facebook Live rant was her only response, 90 minutes long, filled with finger-pointing and vague denials, but short on real answers. The lack of transparency only heightened public suspicion, fueling an already raging fire. In town hall meetings, residents have had enough. Some are openly demanding her resignation, calling her leadership an embarrassment. Others have demanded real transparency and responsible governance. But Henyard isn't backing down. She's reportedly used political pressure and threats in an attempt to maintain her position, going as far as threatening to have opponents arrested. One mayoral challenger, running on a clean house platform, has gained momentum thanks to rising distrust in Henyard. Meanwhile, Henyard continues to stir controversy with her Facebook broadcasts, threatening lawsuits and criminal charges without naming crimes or offering evidence. Things took another wild turn when her landlord filed an eviction lawsuit, claiming Henyard and her partner hadn't paid rent in months. They even changed the locks to avoid being served. Combined with federal probes and financial mismanagement accusations, this paints a troubling picture of someone unwilling to take accountability at any level. Despite all of this, Henyard's campaign for re-election is moving full steam ahead. But for many, her persistence seems more like desperation. Some residents admire her drive, saying it shows determination. But her critics argue it's a reckless attempt to hold on to power, no matter the cost. The allegations go beyond personal spending. A former police chief claimed Henyard used police officers as personal assistants, sending them to run errands, pick up her daughter, and provide security during her private outings. Over $1 million in overtime allegedly went to officers used as bodyguards and chauffeurs. If true, it signals a disturbing misuse of public resources. Even more alarming, the former chief accused Henyard of directing him to target specific individuals, allegations that raise red flags about abuse of power and political retaliation. Tiffany Henyard has become a deeply polarizing figure in Dalton. To some, she's a fighter. To others, a symbol of everything wrong with local leadership. Her re-election campaign has now become a lightning rod, pitting hope against suspicion, loyalty against outrage. Adding insult to injury, Henyard's re-election event came with a $50 entry fee, a move seen as elitist and out of touch, especially when many in Dalton are struggling financially. Residents questioned the decision. Why should they pay to support someone under so much scrutiny? Supporters insist the allegations are politically driven smear campaigns, but her extravagant spending, secretive behavior, and alleged use of law enforcement for personal gain have only deepened public mistrust. As the election nears, Dalton faces a major crossroads. The community must now decide, stick with the current leadership or move toward a fresh start. Years of financial instability and ethical concerns have taken a toll. And this election could either reaffirm Henyard's power or bring about a much-needed reckoning. Dalton's future hangs in the balance. The town is now grappling with more than just a vote. It's a test of its values, a chance to correct course after years of controversy. And whether Tiffany Henyard wins or loses, the decision made by Dalton's residents will shape the town for generations to come. Will they continue down the same path, or finally turn the page on one of the most scandal-ridden chapters in their history?